Are you an Aussie tradie and your paperwork is shady? Do the dockers farm side keep you up late at night? Are you sick of pushing paper, swinging your tools as more you caper? Call us the tricks of your trade.
Welcome to the Tricks of Your Trade podcast, where we talk about trade business topics to help you get through business life unscathed.
Does the builder pay you late and your cash flow fluctuates? Do you dread the office work? Can't afford a full-time clerk? Consider working smarter, don't be a business martyr. Call us the tricks of your trade.
Hello, welcome to the Tricks of Your Trade podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Serson, construction lawyer, adjudicator, and director of Tricks of Your Trade. Hello, welcome to the Tricks of Your Trade podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Serson, construction adjudicator, lawyer, and director of Tricks of Your Trade. Today on my podcast, I want to talk to you about love jobs and why they are the highest risk for your business and the least reward, and why you should never break the Neapolitan Ice Cream Theory rule. You might be thinking I'm talking in gibberish, but let me tell you about the Neapolitan Ice Cream Theory, because once you see it, you can't unsee it, and it is always a really good reminder for you to just go, does this break the Neapolitan Ice Cream Theory rule? And if it does, please consider not doing what you're about to do. So the Neapolitan Ice Cream Theory is a theory where you look at the three colours in your ice cream tub: Neapolitan ice cream, strawberry, chocolate, vanilla, and one is friends, one is family, one is business, and if you mix them all together, you end up with poo brown as the colour. So that's the analogy, is that you shouldn't mix friends, family, and business, and if you do, it's likely to go pear-shaped. Now, I want to take you on a little journey of what this has looked like for a client we've currently got. We've got a client who always enters into proper contracts with their builders and any owner, builder, or developer that they do work for. A friend of a friend asked them to do a favour for their friend, and so based on that trustworthy recommendation, they went ahead and decided to do about $500,000 worth of work for this particular developer. Now, because it feels a little bit impersonal at the time and you don't feel like you're building relationships, it's a bit unsexy to hand somebody a contract document. You don't really want to give them a contract at that point in time, because it's not the way to make friends, is here, sign my prenup. It's a little bit unsexy, right? So this is one of the reasons that these jobs end up going pear-shaped, because you don't do the normal things that you would do in a normal commercial transaction at arm's length. And both sides of the transaction think they are doing each other a favour. So the love job, or the friend who asks you to do work for them, oftentimes the reason they're asking you is because, number one, they know you. Number two, they think you'll be grateful that you're they're throwing you some work. And number three, they think they're going to get mates rates. So they think that they can have the trust, the quality, time frame delivery, and the low value cost of the project if they have you do their job. So they're leaning on you. They're leaning on you to subsidize their project. Now, you will always think you're doing them a favor, because they will ask you to discount your work. And if you do discount it, or if you make other concessions by putting them first, giving them materials that you've got from another job, there could be some other reason that what you're doing is giving them a windfall or giving them a free kick. You're going to think that you're doing them a favor. Now, it's unsexy to throw a contract at them and say, hey, sign this. This will protect both of us. And you're also very unlikely to get a deposit. Or ask them for proof they have the capacity to pay your bill. Ask them whether or not there's a bank involved, all of those things. So when you get to that point with your love job, what you've now done is you've put yourself in a position where it's very difficult for you to debt recover, because you've got no written contract, you don't have a deposit paid up front, so they haven't paid you anything or parted with any money yet. As the job goes on, we find that people who do love jobs or break the Neapolitan Ice Cream Theory and do business transactions with friends and family will always feel like they put in more than they needed to. So, for example, you might use some of your own machinery to do the work and you don't charge them higher rates, but you could have had those machines on another job down the road making money for you. So you will make concessions and you'll feel like you've contributed more to the transaction than the other party. The other thing that will happen is because they're friends or family, you're likely to not prioritize their job like you would a normal arm's length client, because you feel like they'll cut you some slack if you're not there that day or if the job gets delayed. Or it could be that you use some leftover tiles from a bathroom renovation you did last year and you put those into that person's property, and then suddenly they have an argument with you about color differentiation or something like that. So that's how those things go pear-shaped. Now, when it takes longer than they think it should for you to finish the job that you were supposed to do, or if they're unsatisfied with the work that you did, that's when things start to get ugly, because you're going to need to debt recover because they won't pay you. Everything always crystallizes in a payment claim. So you give an invoice and it won't get paid. And then when you go to debt recover, the options that you've got available to you are limited. If you're doing residential construction work, it's often the case that you actually have to go to the building regulator and confess to having done work without a proper written contract for a residential homeowner, and possibly maybe even not even paying the insurance premium for that work. They're going to use that to extort you out of paying your bill. So they'll basically threaten you with, I'm going to dob you into the regulator if you don't leave me alone. And that's where you end up having big, big problems. So I wanted to share that with you because almost all of the really curly transactions that we have cross our desk, where the dispute is so emotional and heated, and the parties are so furious with each other, and they're further complicated because there's no written contract and no money has passed hands, or there could be an ambiguous scope. Nobody actually wrote a scope of work because you both knew what the other person meant. Those disputes are the most expensive for us to help you resolve. And they almost always happen because you did a job for friends or family. So you just can't mix business, friends, or family. The other thing that happens with love jobs is that they have babies. And you'll do a job for one person and then the neighbor will find out, or the other cousin will find out that you did that person's bathroom, and now they want you to do their bathroom or their deck or whatever it is. And now suddenly you've got half of your family who are expecting you to do heavily subsidized work for those people. So it might feel uncomfortable when you first enter into a transaction with friends or family. It might feel really uncomfortable just to say, hey, no, I don't like mixing friends or family. I really love you guys. I just never want to have an argument. And my lawyer told me that the most common cause of disputes is people who do business who mix friends and family. And just throw me under the bus and say, hey, you should listen to this episode of this lady's podcast. This is why I can't do love jobs. I just take that advice. I can recommend somebody else who can do it for you. Say no is my first piece of advice. My second piece of advice, if you are going to do a love job, I want you to treat it like an arm's length commercial transaction and tell the person. So if I'm doing a job for my cousin, I'm saying, listen, hey, I need you to know that I need to do this in exactly the same way I do it for all my other clients as well. And I want to do that so that you and I both can have peace of mind that this is not going to come between us, that nothing that happens during this transaction is actually going to come between us. And so make sure you do sign the contract, and make sure you do get a deposit if you can get a deposit. Make sure that your scope of work is really well defined. So just because it's a love job, if you do something out of the ordinary, that is where it will go pear-shaped. So short episode today, wanted to share the Neapolitan Ice Cream Theory with you and explain why love jobs, second to residential building contracts, are my most hated scenarios. And I recommend you just don't do them. Just don't do them. You started a business so that you could make good money on jobs doing what you're really good at. And if you start muddying the water with friends and family, nobody will thank you for it. Everybody will have an opinion. You'll be there at the Christmas barbecue and someone will have the icks with you because you did someone's something and it didn't work out right, or somebody will have an opinion. So nobody will ever thank you for it. And oftentimes the people that you do these jobs for have never worked a day in business in their life. So they actually have no idea what it costs you to deliver that project. They don't realize that you could have been down the road working on another job where you could have made 4 or 5 times the amount. You basically did it for cost, and maybe you kicked in some of your own labor and in-kind costs as well. So love jobs, don't do it. don't do it. Neapolitan Ice Cream Theory, guys. All right. I will be in touch again with another podcast soon. If you have any questions about what I've talked about on this podcast, feel free to drop me a good old-fashioned email at questions@tricksofyourtrade.com.au. If you would like a systematic approach to your contract administration and getting paid, head on over to our website and check out the Subbies Toolbox. You won't be disappointed there. And just one last time, our web address is www.tricksofyourtrade.com.au.
Are you an Aussie tradie and your paperwork is shady? Do the dockers farm side keep you up late at night? Are you sick of pushing paper, swinging your tools more you caper? Call us the tricks of your trade.
Welcome to the Tricks of Your Trade podcast, where we talk about trade business topics to help you get through business life unscathed.
Does the bill to pay you late and your cash flow fluctuates? Do you dread the office work? Can't afford a full-time clerk? Consider working smarter. Don't be a business martyr. Call us the tricks of your trade.